Wonderful. So Felix, what's beyond yourself, which of course is the most interesting thing happening in Hong Kong these days? What else is happening?
Many things are happening in Hong Kong, just like every other country in the world, we've been hard hit by the coronavirus. And according to the Hong Kong's quarterly survey of restaurant receipts and purchases, the total value of receipts received by the restaurants in the second quarter has decreased by 25% compared to a year before. So it shows how bad business is. So all the restaurants, they're trying to make a survival. And in order to do that, a lot of the food tech has been blooming, especially in the the food delivery platform. Can you see my screen?
Yep, we see your screen, Felix. Yes.
So the delivery platforms such as Food Panda, Deliveroo, and Uber Eats, they've been booming a lot. And it has been reported that they have an increase in food orders as well as people doing the food delivery, which is great for people who've lost their jobs. But the market has been a cutthroat market, and the platforms, in order to compete, they offer 20 to 30% discounts on the food delivered. So it will be interesting to see how the market will, who will win out in the competition. And then the second trend. So in August, Hong Kong-based startup Day Cook announced that it has raised $20 million to expand its multifunctional food platform. The company offers a bit of everything: an app featuring recipes and food videos, cooking classes in upscale malls, and also a product line of its own branded food products sold online, which makes up 80% of its revenue. And people, maybe you have heard of the brand name TikTok. So using the digital media platform, influencers have been a big boom in China. So food tech and media platforms, it will be interesting to see how they cash out in the next few years. And then the Hong Kong-based plant-based meat company, Green Monday Holdings, they raised $70 million recently, which makes it the most successful financial round in Asia to date. So for people who don't know, Green Mondays, they have a product line called Omni Pork. So that's your equivalent of Beyond Meat and Impossible Food, but the Asian version. So this is also they have also been selected as one of the top 50 companies to make a change in the food tech world by the Fortune company this year. And then the fourth trend, so people know about the Impossible Food. Well, this month, Impossible Food launched their Impossible Sausage in Hong Kong because the plant-based, alternative protein market has been expanding at such a rapid rate. So now the sausage version is available in all Hong Kong Starbucks, in the pizza joint Philly, and also the burger joints, the triple O's. So it's also interesting to see that more people are eating alternative proteins. And then, I just mentioned, the Omni Pork brand, Hong Kong people have a love for luncheon meat. They put it in everything from instant noodles to sandwiches, everything. And now they have launched the first plant-based luncheon meat, and I heard that it has been a big hit in Hong Kong. So it's good to see that there are all these alternative products coming out in the market. And then Avant Meats, also a Hong Kong-based startup, they aim to be the first company to develop cell-based fish mold. So for the people who don't know, fish mold is otherwise known as fish swimming bladder. It's a luxurious food used in a lot of the banquets in Hong Kong, a luxurious food, but it's not very sustainable. So Advant Meats, they have raised funding and they aim to produce the first cell-based fish mold within the next 2 years. And then everyone might have heard on the news. So last year, Hong Kong saw the largest crowd of protesters against the government as they proposed the extradition bill. So now all the Hong Kong businesses, especially the restaurants, They're split into the two political groups. One called the yellow group, which is actually against government, and also one is called blue group, which is actually pro-China and government. And for the normal Hong Kongers, when they go out to dine, now they are increasingly using apps to choose restaurant, not based on food reviews or price, but based on their political standing. So these apps are actually increasingly popular in Hong Kong. And then the last one is a company called Wada Bento, and they just launched a self-service hot bento vending machine at the Hong Kong Science and Technology Park. The vending machine warms the food at 60 degrees Celsius, keeping it hot and nice, and everything is automatic. And according to the founder, they are making a monthly turnover of $50,000 US. So the automation is definitely becoming popular with the COVID hitting the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Felix. This is so interesting. I just have to give you a follow-up question on this one. This is a wonderful, wonderful summarizing of what's happening out there. Of course, cell-grown and plant-based, but eating yourself to democracy. That was a new one to me, I must confess. I think it's super, super interesting. But then again, it makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Right? Because you can govern things with your food decisions and your food choices. So yeah, we need to deploy that in Stockholm and Sweden too here, to have different stands of restaurants being published, so I can make my proper choices. Thank you so much, Felix, and we'll see you later on. Oh, you're there in your camera, if I look in that camera, but you're next to me on the big screen, so that's why I'm pointing to you right now with my left hand. Felix, thank you. See you later.
Thank you, Johan. See you.
See you around. So who's next?
Hello.
Okay, cool. Let's go. Nadia, my favorite Londoner.
Hi. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Yeah, you're doing an amazing job. I just wanted to say a huge congratulations to putting this off online. It's been no easy task, trust us. We're in the process of working out how to do it ourselves, and it's a little bit daunting. So I'm super impressed, and congratulations.
Thank you so much. And of course, Nadia runs, if you're ever going to London, which you should quite soon, I think, too, you should visit the YFood festivals. I mean, like, they're so beyond amazing.
Wow, thanks.
So, yeah. You're good. So what's happening in London these days?
So, I mean, I don't want to go repeating everything that Felix has just said, but I mean, it's a pretty similar situation. The hospitality industry is a huge part of our economy across the whole of the UK. It employs over 3 million jobs, and they've been in a severe lockdown process for months, and only having just reopened, and now facing a 10 p.m. curfew, and potentially there might be a lockdown coming forward as well. So it's been pretty brutal, I'm not going to lie. But in the chaos, there is opportunity. So opportunity-wise, we've definitely seen, and I would say from our community, it's been mind-blowing, the reaction and the speed at which people have pivoted or iterated or actually been able to change their businesses to really look at how do we actually make the food ecosystem work in London. So the whole supply chain was hit fundamentally really, really hard when we had a hospitality lockdown. Any suppliers or food service producers or manufacturers that were just really focused on like 90% of their business facing hospitality suddenly lost all of their revenue overnight as well. So we saw lots of very, very clever technology companies such as Go-Kart or Collective Food, who had traditionally been providing a platform to connect supply with hospitality industry, repositioning themselves direct to consumer. So that's been amazing. They've been really helping those suppliers reconnect with the consumers, and we've started to see them connecting with delivery via things like Deliveroo or Uber Eats. So our delivery apps have gone not only into food that's being prepared, but also groceries. And actually the speed at which that supply chain was reconnected was actually quite impressive. From like 2 weeks of seeing fruit and veg markets like New Covent Garden completely like stood there looking at how were they going to survive, where are they going to put this food, to people within our community or companies within the YFood community here in London literally going down to New Covent Garden Market and helping them reconnect with the supply chain. So technology has been super empowering as a solution for what was basically real challenges within our supply chain. In addition to that, we've also seen, which is a big theme that we talk about at YFood all the time, which is multi-channel, that opportunity for somebody, let's say a hospitality brand, not just to be a restaurant anymore, but to actually have a retail product, go direct to consumer. Are they putting something in a click and collect locker? Like, where is your tribe and how do you access them? So that whole multi-channel thing has become even more prominent. So we've seen some real like up and coming high growth hospitality brands do some pretty cool and innovative stuff, which I've been lucky enough to receive in the post on a regular basis. So lockdown's been super fun for me because I've been making pizzas in frying pans and kombucha and all sorts of incredible kits. So Pizza Pilgrims launched their pizza in the pan kit, which is incredible. I'm not sure if I'm actually allowed to release the stats on what they managed to achieve in terms of sales and revenue. But I can honestly assure you it's something.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I don't think I am. But I can honestly assure you it's more than anyone who was starting with a brand from new would have done in over 2 years. It would have taken them to get to that type of volume. So overnight, they literally had an online. They had to close orders. They actually couldn't manufacture the pizzas in the kits quick enough to be able to deliver them to those consumers. So it's really super interesting because hospitality industry within the UK was already struggling a little bit because of Brexit coming up, because of the margins in that industry. So we're starting to see all sorts of new channels and opportunities for that industry, and technology allows us to achieve that. So that's super, super exciting. I think as they're starting to reopen, there's also a huge opportunity now because there's obviously a really big pressure on automation, robotics, efficiency. They've got much lower revenue. They've got much higher standards to meet. And how do they do that? So we've seen the likes of WalkUp, which is like a real-time booking app, really supporting the hospitality industry to be able to optimize their seating and their places. We are also really covering off a big theme in robotics and automation in London Foodtech Week, which is happening in November, just because all of our big brand clients and all of the big players in the hospitality industry are really trying to look at where are the places it makes sense for us to automate given the current environment. So we see that as a really, really big trend coming up across the UK, particularly like frictionless payments, et cetera, et cetera. What else is happening, which is opportunity from the back of all of this? I think that's probably a pretty good summary. The last one that I would say that is prominent and coming up more and more is immunity, health, and functional foods. So anyone that was launching anything in that product space, we've seen those products accelerated. And that's really been like a huge opportunity. And I think we'll start to see even more growth in that as an awareness of how we can feed ourselves back to health is really, really important. And then the last thing is, I guess, all the people who are doing more sciencey type stuff. We had like a new urban farm that was supposed to launch. We've got quite a lot of people in the London community that have labs and stuff. They just redistributed labs to their homes. We're doing various bits of testing then, and everyone's just got like a 1 or 2 month delay. So that impact hasn't been too bad. So everybody's feeling quite positive at the moment. So just to say that if anyone wants to get in touch, that's how you contact me. And London Foodtech Week's happening in November on the 16th to the 20th of November. And it's happening online. Hopefully we'll do as good a job as Johan's doing today. And actually, ironically, we'd set our themes for London Foodtech Week in May before all of we actually set them in January this year, before lockdown happened. And actually, these themes are exactly the same because they have only been accelerated through this period. So the themes this year are Connect, which is all about connecting the food ecosystem supply chain and very much focused on that multi-channel, on the technologies and stuff that help that. So that type of Pizza Pilgrims, pizza in the pan stuff. Tuesday is Self, which is all about health, wellness, immunity, gut health, all that sort of stuff. And Thursday is Create, which is all about creating a more sustainable food ecosystem that's still fun, commercially engaging. So robotics and stuff are definitely within that. So Johan, thank you so much and good luck with the rest of the day.
Thank you so much, Nadia. I have a last question for you.
Yeah.
Can you be there in person?
No, we're not in a position at the moment to do that. So there's a real possibility that we're going to go into another full lockdown here in the UK. We're already having restrictions if you can't be in bigger than groups of 6 at the moment, and we've got a curfew till 10 p.m. And if we don't get things under control, we're probably going to be in full lockdown. So we have taken the view that the best way to secure a great event experience for everybody is to do it 100% fully online. But there are 2 days dedicated to meetings. So if you're a startup, you can book in to meet investors, you can book in to meet industry, and you can book in to meet experts. And that is literally dedicated a whole entire 2 days to that. We've got some of them, I think we've got over like 20 investors or 30 investors that you can book in to meet. And we're going to have over 20 industry players as well. Everyone from Marks and Spencer's to Mitchells and Butlers, our biggest hotel chain, pub chain here in the UK, through to Compass Group and Elio.
That's going to be amazing. Actually, it's good news, Nadia, because that means that you don't have to quarantine for 2 weeks in order to go to the YFood London Foodtech Week. So we can all go there, and I for sure will be there myself. And thank you, Nadia. Unfortunately, it seems like there's a new lockdown coming on in the UK.
Essentially, fingers crossed.
Great opportunity for delivery, I'd say.
Very much. Thanks, Johan. Good luck today.
Have a great day. So, who's next in the list of people? Lauri.
Hey, Johan.
Lauri, how are you? Good to see you.
It's so much fun to be there.
Yeah, sure. You have to come next year. Friends are allowed to go to Sweden then, that is.
Yeah. So, hey, it's been a crazy half a year. But I would like to see things in a very positive light. I think that's the way we make things happen. So I think there are interesting things happening in the food industry, in the food startups, and in the funding side. So I'm going to quickly just mention all of those, if that's fine.
Sure, go ahead. Lauri, we should introduce you properly. Sorry, I'm just too used to calling you Lauri, but you might not be known to all the thousands of people currently following this. So, Lauri Reuter, you're my... well, still my guru when it comes to cell-based agriculture, but you're also these days a part of the NFT Ventures. Understanding what that is.
So I'm still struggling with this sort of identity crisis. I would say I'm a scientist turned investor, and the best term we coined for that is venture scientist. Thanks, Daniel, if you're listening to that was coming from your brain. So yeah, very much scientist turned investor. I'm going to come back to that a bit later. But I am a geek, definitely, a devoted food geek. So just quickly, a kind of overview of what's happening in Finland lately. I've been really delighted to see what's happening in the food industry. I mean, the really conventional old food industry around here. The HK Scan, so the most traditional meat house in Finland and in Nordics, just launched a plant-based product series, which is fantastic to see. Valio, the biggest dairy house, just launched their plant-based burger patties. So it's increasingly hard to tell what are meat companies, what are dairy companies, and what are plant companies. It seems that all the food companies are turning into food companies, which is amazing to see. And what's there left for the more traditional plant companies, so grain companies, mills, if you will, it seems that both Raisio and Fazer are increasingly focusing on creating healthy foods out of Nordic oats, which is another development I'm really delighted to see. So it seems that in a very short period of time, the food industry is really making a change to create a lot more healthy and plant-based products. It's a fantastic world we're living in. On the kind of startup side, one of the great things in the past year or so has been the EIT Food Accelerator that we got in Helsinki running right now. I think the demo day is next week. There's a bunch of fantastic Nordic startups in there, so check it out. Join the demo day, check them out. Many of those companies are actually, well, they're here in this meet as well. Vault got a huge investment round, 130 million something in midst of the whole COVID crisis. Solar Foods, another Finnish fantastic food tech startup, raised their 15 million round just a few weeks ago. They are basically making food out of thin air, and if that sounds batshit crazy to you, Just wait for it. Pasi, I think, is speaking to you later on today. Yeah, don't miss out on that one. It's an amazing story. Another interesting Finnish startup that is not raising huge rounds yet, but just launched or spun out from VTT is Enifer Bio. They're doing something super interesting. They are taking an industrial process that was there in the 70s already, turning forest industry side streams into food and feed. The whole system was forgotten for decades, and now there's a startup bringing that up again. You will hear from them in the future. So then on the funding side, and this is shameless self-promotion. We finally have the first food tech focused VC fund in the Nordics. We managed to put the fund together earlier this year in April, actually, and we're now in full speed making investments in food tech in the Nordics and Baltics, and that is an amazing trip. So what I hope is that we won't be the only one for a very long time. We need food tech specific funding in the field, and I'm certain there are others to follow. So we're still up for investors to join, and we're definitely looking for super interesting startups.
That's super interesting to hear, Lauri. And of course, NFT means what?
Nordic Foodtech Venture Capital. Very self-explanatory. You cannot mistake on what we're doing.
No, it's actually interesting because we have another Swedish company called NFT Ventures, but they're doing boring old.
It's Nordic FinTech. It's
like that FinTech. It's old and it's no. The future belongs to Foodtech. Thank you very much, Lauri.
Thank you.
See you soon again, I hope.
Will do.
Over to the next one. Who do we have? Alessio comes here.
Here we go. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good to see you.
Good seeing you too, actually. I think the last time we met was probably in London at one of our meetups.
But that's interesting, Alessio. So I mean, like you're working with Forward Fooding, and you're putting together all these lists of, the largest food tech companies or the most influential companies out there. So I mean, like you're essentially a one-man world tour here.
Thanks, Johan. Well, you raised the bar way too high for me to then now meet the expectations. But well, yeah, we do many things, I guess, but including, as you've correctly pointed out, the world first Foodtech 500 list of agri-food tech companies. And being mindful of time, I'm just going to go and share my presentation. To actually tell you more about what we do at Forward Fooding, but also to introduce the next edition of actually the Foodtech 500, which are actually launching tomorrow. So it couldn't have been a better timing to actually, yeah, I know. But before I get into that, actually, as the also team of the Big Meet, which I'm a huge fan of, as I've been luckily enough actually to attend many of your events in person back then. Now, I guess virtually. I think actually that hope it couldn't be a better term to actually define what's happening now, in the food industry. And the reason being that I think there is not only an army now of food tech companies out there that are doing incredible things, really, to help the industry to actually fix our broken food system. But on the other hand, we see a lot of hope also on the more corporate side, as they understand that, food tech is kind of the way forward. And we've seen also during the lockdown that a lot of activities actually, kept on going, including, investments and collaborations also with startups. And I think this gives me a lot of hope that, actually we might have reached, this tipping point where now the industry has finally, woken up as well, as in, really taking stock in becoming more deeply connected with the actual innovation ecosystem as far as food tech is concerned. But really quickly, what we do is we run the world first collaborative platform for the food and beverage industry. What that means is, as Ian correctly pointed out, we are We have collected quite a lot of data over the years about the agri-food tech ecosystem, including accelerators, companies, investors, and corporate venture capitals. And what we created last year, and actually Johan was part of the launching event, was the world first Foodtech Data Navigator, which is nothing but a data intelligence tools that helps users to navigate what is going on in the ecosystem. So connections between companies and investors, but also, you know, what are corporates investing in, and really mapping out, you know, really system. On the other hand, at the core, we do open innovation. So we help large corporates to effectively engage successfully with startups and developing, you know, collaborations with them. And on the other hand, on the more community building side of things, we actually run now two Foodtech innovation hubs, one in London and one is launching next month in Barcelona. We are basically bringing in resident companies that then we allow our corporate clients to engage with. And we do this with one very simple mission, which is we want to foster food innovation to actually redesign our food system, which basically means helping large corporates to leverage, you know, all the innovation that is out there from entrepreneurs to actually, you know, create a better future of food. And just at glance, as I mentioned earlier, we built two innovation hubs. One now has 10 resident companies, the one in London, and the one in Barcelona is launching next month. We have successfully crafted 5 collaborations between corporate clients and the selected startup and scale-up companies, run about 35 boot camps to support startups since 2014, and we built this pretty big database of about 13,500 companies now, which we're actually cleaning up and adding, you know, data to the Food Data Navigator as the data, you know, becomes available. And these are some of our partners, supporters, and clients. We've been collaborating with many organizations in the food space, such as, you know, Compass, Danone, Mondelez, Nestle, which are kind of our clients. But at the core, we are ecosystem enablers and builders. So we're partnered up with the techies, the likes of Google.
Okay, good to see all these old school companies. Who are the new ones?
Who are the new ones? Exactly. So the new ones are actually here in the Foodtech 500. Last year, we embarked on this crazy journey of actually trying to create, inspired of course by the Fortune 500, sort of a list of what were the movers and shakers of the agri-food tech space. And so what we've done last year, and it was the very first, you know, attempt, was actually creating, you know, a list out of 1,200 plus applications that we have received from companies all over the world. And we basically shortlisted 500 based on a ranking system that we developed, also thanks to our data intelligence platform, which helped us to effectively come down to a list of 500 businesses that then, you know, have been ranked and is now available on our website. But now, just to give you an idea of the type of companies that we actually featured in the list, it spanned from ag tech, so companies like Aero Farms, who actually topped up the list, all the way through sustainable packaging, so companies like Tipa, Agrivi, so more in the software side of things of ag tech, Geminis, so insects, Notpla was edible packaging, robotics, and Peaker Brew, who was actually developing this kitchen appliance. So we try to cover, you know, the whole spectrum of activities happening across the supply chain. And this was just, you know, the top 10 out of the 500 winners that we have identified. And the methodology was pretty simple. We've used the business size score. We actually used 3 variables: business size, digital footprint, and sustainability score. Each of these 2 actually variables were taken from our own data intelligence platform, because we then pulled in data from external sources in regards to number of employees, for instance, and funding activities when it comes to the business size score. And digital footprint was actually a proxy of the website traffic that they are able to generate as companies, as well as how fast we're growing over social media. But again, sustainability is, we think, you know, a key part of even a definition of agri-food tech as, you know, the solutions, they need to be create more efficiency, but also be more sustainable. And so we have created actually a survey that was looking at identifying what were the SDGs that the companies were contributing to achieve, and with their solutions, and then a number of other variables in regards to their manufacturing processes, their products, their company, their revenue, and their funding activities. And so these allowed us to effectively capture 1,200 application plus last year from 54 countries. We actually did that also thanks to our media partners. And Sweden Foodtech has been one of the biggest supporters for some of our also projects, is to really help, you know, to map, you know, the ecosystem as much as we could. And thanks to basically showcasing, you know, through this platform, sort of like the underdogs of agri-food tech, we want to just raise awareness about, you know, how their solutions can actually fix some of the issues of our food system. And so I can't be, you know, I can't thank enough also our media partners to helping us, you know, spread the word. And then last year, this year, we did create a sort of an impact report to figure out actually where these companies, you know, stood at that point. And this was actually right in the middle of the pandemic. And it was really interesting to gather some of these data from actually the 500 companies that made it into the list last year. And that's where we figured that actually 3 companies were acquired by other companies. These are just some of the winners that we listed last year. 2 companies actually shut down. I guess it's part of the game. But what is really, I think, reassuring and again hopeful is the fact that they were able to create more than 115 actually strategic partnerships with industry players. They created roughly as a cluster of 500 companies, although we only interviewed about 200-ish. They created actually new jobs, and a lot of them actually said that in general the impact of COVID was actually mostly positive. And we then, you know, put all these findings actually into a report that you can download from this URL. But now we are here. We're here to talk about the next edition.
Alessio, yeah. I have to stop you now. You can talk about this forever and ever and ever, and I know that. And because there are so many things to be said for all these new funky companies coming out there. But we need to move on in the program. However, the great thing here is you can really put down all your cameras and don't have to take snapshots, because this is published by you, Alessio, tomorrow, right? Where's the
Yes, tomorrow we're reopening actually the call for application. So we're going to be collecting applications until the end of November, and we will release the new list in February 2021.
Lovely. So go to that site and check out all the good stuff on all the cool companies out there, and you never need another source again.
There is so much going on, Ian. I think we're literally just scratching the surface.
Take care.
Thank you very much for having me, Johan. Great, good luck with the rest of it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And on to the next person in the queue here for it's Suresh. Suresh, hi from New Delhi.
How are you? Namaste. Namaste.
So Delhi, how are you, Suresh? Everything's
fine?
I'm
fine. It's quite hot and humid out here. How's Sweden?
Yes, it's very hot and humid here as well.
Okay.
The audience shakes their heads in this view.
Right, and of course, politically also it's quite hot in India. And one of the reasons it's so hot in India is because of recently 3 farm bills were introduced by the government, and they were rushed through parliament. And farmers' organizations feel that this is just a prelude to the takeover of independent farmers by big corporate houses. So in the middle of all the problems that we are having post-COVID, we are also having this major rumbling in the rural sector of our economy. And as you know, when we're talking about the rural sector of our economy, we're talking about a huge population. We're talking about more than 850 million people. So That's I don't know how many Swedens is it put together, but
it says that whatever happens in Sweden doesn't matter. What happens in India is what matters.
Yeah, so that is one big issue, and among the, I mean, I'll come to other issues which are affecting ag tech, but in the whole debate about the farm bills, which are now farm acts, one fact came out in the open is that there's a huge digital divide between rural and urban India. So, when you're talking about new technologies penetrating India, ag tech penetrating India, we're talking about a country where, most of the rural households don't have internet connections or don't even have, the smartphones which enable such connections. That remains an issue, especially when there are a lot of ag tech companies which are in this scene to, which basically operate out of digital platforms to bring urban and rural India together. The problem is if the last farmer, the last man standing, doesn't have, an internet connection or a broadband connection or a smartphone, then how will that connection ever take place? And we're talking about, in terms of just connections, in terms of computers, only 4.4% of the rural population in India has computers. And 14.4% of the rural population has internet connection in some form or the other. And most of this connection is not even broadband. So this is a big challenge we're talking about. So that is, of course, why there is so much of disquiet in India. And this fact particularly came to light during the COVID lockdown. We had a long lockdown, as you know, because most of the schools, they were said, okay, move over to digital learning. But hey, how will rural schools move over to digital learning when there are no, computers available in homes and there are no internet connections? So that brought the reality of the Indian scenario out in the open, and it has got people quite worked up. That a lot of things that you see in urban India, a lot of things you must have seen in Delhi when you were last here, and doesn't exist in rural India where we talk about ag tech and farm tech and other such things. So this is indeed a challenge. This is a big challenge for the growth of ag tech in the country. So I guess that of course one can go on talking about it for the entire day. That is one challenge I'll try to. But let me talk green shoots that were during the COVID-19 crisis, as you know, like the hospitality industry all over the world, the Indian hotel and restaurant industry was in its worst shape ever in the last 100 years. But in the middle of all this, people did come up with solutions, and I'm quite interested to see that the solutions are very much like on the lines of our colleagues from Hong Kong and London talked about. So there's been a big, boom in what are known as cloud kitchens. So food delivery services have really taken off, which means companies, online delivery platforms like Zomato and Swiggy are really raking it in. But what we are seeing is a lot of new delivery companies are also coming into the picture. So the pie is getting bigger. And this is one area in the food tech, ag tech industry, which needs to be watched, namely the food delivery, app-based food delivery systems. And a lot of chefs have started giving online classes, and as well as sending do-it-yourself home kits. Not only chefs but also bartenders. So they would give these cocktail premixes. In India, you cannot, sort of move cocktail. You cannot move alcohol. You can only buy alcohol from a notified shop. So what they do, what the bartenders are doing is they're sending the premixes, and you're expected to buy your own alcohol and make your own cocktail at home. So these are some innovative developments we're seeing. I feel the food delivery business will become very big in India. On the other hand, the industry which doesn't seem to be taking off at all, though you'd expect it to, is the mock meat, or the vegetable protein-based meat industry. It is because I guess in India, people who are vegetarian just abhor the idea of meat. They're not vegetarian because they have to stay away from meat for a couple of days in a week. They just do not, relate to the idea of meat for even a day. Hence, the idea of mock meats doesn't sit well in the Indian culture. Yeah, you had something to ask me.
Yeah.
I may run out of time.
Unfortunately, we have to close you down because we have more stuff coming up here, and I wish I had all the time in the world to continue discussing it, because India is such an amazing country, worth 3 stars, Michelin stars, in order to, it's worth the journey for sure. When everything is up and running again, but it also poses this challenge because, as you say, it's a different situation than fancy cities in the West. But on the other hand, it's in India where everything needs to happen. So we really need to build the solutions, not for Stockholm, but for India. So that would be my reflection on it. Suresh, so good to have you here. There will be more.
Thank you so much.
Later on today. I wish you the best. Have a wonderful day in hot and humid India, and hope to come there soon. Okay.
Yes, please. Care. You're most welcome.
Okay. Bye for now. We're now moving seamlessly into the shout-out session. What is it that you're doing that you would like to tell us about?
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. I'm actually really proud to be able to join, and I'm happy that I can contribute to develop the ecosystem in Nordic and Baltics and help to have better world. And so what I'm doing, actually, I'm based in Helsinki, even if I'm originally Italian, and I'm helping to drive innovations in the food and agri-tech ecosystem. So I've been implementing an accelerator program under EIT Food umbrella, covering Nordic and Baltics. And we have been launching this spring, joining the network of other 6 accelerators around Europe. And we are running basically a non-for-profit program for startups in food tech and agri-tech from Nordic and Baltics. Non-for-profit, and we are helping them to reach out to customers, develop co-development activities with them, look for funding, and better develop their product and solution for going to market.
That sounds perfect. So you're actually looking for entrepreneurs out there who would like to join?
Yes, actually, so we are actually concluding our program for the spring already next week. So I'm welcoming everybody that is interested to join our online event next week, and I can share later the link for that one. And otherwise, yes, we have these 10 beautiful teams that are going to be pitching there, and we're going to have a couple of great guests. And we're going to select 2 teams that will join the Venture Summit that brings all the best teams selected from the various hubs to one event driven by EIT Food. And we are always looking for thrilling startups that want to join our program for next year. We are focusing more in general about, I would say, food waste, food safety and transparency, packaging, smart farming, and food technologies for alternative proteins.
Sounds like we all should come and join that one. It sounds awful interesting. So Paolo, would you have that link to share, or is it just you search for EIT Food Nordics and you will find it? And
you will find it. And actually, I can probably share it here now on screen. Our link is not an easy one, so maybe I will share in the pitch. Is this one at the bottom here of the slide, but I can share it on the chat later for everybody to join.
Please do that, Paolo. Okay, thank you so much. And it's a pleasure having you here, Paolo, and looking good to this program, and I look forward to being there as well.
A real pleasure. And, the great advantage for all the team that could potentially join will be the opportunity to work with our partners. We have actually, several partners in Finland and then all over Europe. We're talking big names from the whole agriculture and food tech ecosystem. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to be here, and all the best to everybody. And well, let's make a better world.
Thank you very much.
Johan, okay. Is normal? Okay. So hi everybody. Sorry for the the problem or the audio problem, the video problem, but we are here. We are here from Italy, and we are part of an acceleration program that was developed 2 years ago. And this is called the Foodtech Accelerator. So we built this program, we came up with this initiative because we recognize that there is a problem between, working with leading corporation and startups. So sometimes it's very difficult for these two realities work together. And this is why we came up with an open innovation program that is called the Foodtech Accelerator. So our aim is to put together, startups, forward-thinking startups and leading corporation in order to create industrial project, industrial pilots. So what we do is that in a 15 weeks program, we develop some pilot-driven and business-oriented pilot to develop this new synergy between the different parties that are involved. What we have is that our corporation are complementary, and so they are from farm to fork. So we have livestocking and farming companies that work with us, food processing companies, retail and food service companies. So what we do, and our aim is to create collaboration between startups and leading corporation. What we wanted, you to see is that we are looking forward for startups that are not just mature startups, but we are stage and agnostic. So we want to see and want to work with startups that are from seed and from Series C. So what we do is that we give them the possibility to enter our.
Let me interrupt you here. If you double click on that screen that you're showing, it will come up on top of the. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. So this is just to say.
Yes, there we go. So.
Yeah, that's great. So technology is on my side for once. Okay. So as I said, we are looking for from really groundbreaking solution to disrupt the food ecosystem. And what we are looking for currently is that some startups that can help us, address some of the food issue they're developing right now. So we have a big focus also on cereal processing tech right now, because one of our partner is a cereal producer here in Italy, one of the leader of the Italian market. And we also have the possibility to work with retailer and food services. So we actually cover the whole value chain. So what we are asking you is that if you recognize you in any of these trends and you want to have the possibility to enter in our ecosystem and give you also and help us give you the possibility to scale up the Italian market, join us, and we will be happy to see your solution, to discuss your solution with our corporate partner, and to create some tailor-made program and pilot with them to scale your solution here in Italy and also internationally. So thank you guys for having me, and also great session before. I keep looking to hear more of disrupting and hope for the food system.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Rebecca. And a big round of applause for what they're doing down in Italy. Yeah, now it's only you, Jose Luis. It's
okay. So here we are. Eatable Adventures, we've been around since 2015, and I'd like to thank you for having us. It's great to be exposed to a wider European population. We have two main lines of activities. One is we created an ecosystem of startups that span over 25,000 founders, entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurs-to-be, which generates a large number of projects every year. That is over 1,000 this year. And because our own programs can host only 5 or 10 companies per year, we decided to start putting together ways to help these entrepreneurs. So the second activity line is basically connecting them with corporations. So we run like 10 to 20 programs for corporations, helping them to identify the startups that will create their future. For us, this is the best acceleration process you can have, because basically we use the resources of many corporations in terms of research and development, advisory, manufacturing, investment to get companies to speed up. So this year, we already put more than 200 startups in corporate programs. And our goal for next year is to double it. We are expanding our operations to Latin America as well. So we hope that we will be able to help more startups get into the industry.
Lovely, lovely to hear. And I mean, you must see a lot of interesting stuff out there.
We are getting a lot of things. We are very focused on the agri-tech side these days, basically because of the nature of the region we are working in. We are working on the assumption that agriculture is getting a precision industry and a digital industry, and you will be able to grow anywhere in the world. So we need to start creating the technology companies that will replace the current business that is a primary production business into a high-tech business.
Cool. And so if any person listening to this would like to join your program, get help, what do they do?
They need to send an email to projects@eatable.com. That's it. So we will take it from there. We have a very comprehensive and highly curated database of startups that span several thousand companies. And then we use that data our workflow systems to generate all these corporations that we're working with.
Wonderful, wonderful. Any specific plans for the nearest future that you have, José Luis, that you like to emphasize now?
We have recently launched our yearly acceleration program. This year is completely focused on agri-food technology. We already received 170 local companies from Spain active in the agri-tech space. Very exciting things that I will be super happy to share in a few weeks. This program, we are putting together a range of investors to support these companies as well. So if anyone is interested in joining this Foodtech cohort, we will be also very happy to talk to them.
Lovely. Thank you. Last question to you, José Luis. Do you feel hope?
Do I feel, sorry?
Hope.
Hope.
Yeah. Is it hopeful?
Yeah, I think in this moments with all this pandemic, etc., you need to be positive and continue working, pushing. At least in Spain and so, the governments are not helping much because they are basically fighting each other. So we think that the individuals are the ones that need to get this moving forward. And the small companies like Eatable Adventures, we need to basically try to do our best and actually bring hope to everybody else.
Thank you, José Luis. And thanks to people like you, I think the rest of us can feel a lot of hope for the future. Thank you very much. Now it's time for a coffee break. See you soon again.